On January 13, 2006, 6 robbers broke into a bank in Argentina, stealing valuables worth over $25 million from the bank's vault. They silently escaped safely amid the heavy encirclement of hundreds of police officers. Even more outrageous is that the mastermind who planned the case, years later, actually invested in making a movie documenting this robbery and achieved a decent box office success. So what method did the robbers use to successfully steal the assets from the bank and then safely escape from the police encirclement? In this episode, the protagonist, Huan Shu, is a penniless, down-on-his-luck artist. He is also a loafer who enjoys wandering around. That evening, as Huan Shu was wandering aimlessly, it suddenly started to rain heavily. Without an umbrella, he had to take shelter under a shop's awning on the street corner to avoid the rain. After smoking a cigarette, Huan Shu threw the cigarette butt onto the waterlogged ground. The cigarette butt then flowed with the rainwater into the front of a nearby bank. Seeing this scene at the manhole cover, which usually seemed troublesome to Huan Shu, driven by curiosity, he hurriedly walked along one manhole cover after another on the ground, wanting to see where the sewer beneath the covers led. Where exactly it extended to. About half an hour later, Huan Shu followed the sewer's direction and arrived at a secluded riverside. It turned out that the sewer was connected to a river in the city's outskirts. All the rainwater from Liujing sewer was drained into the river, and Huan Shu discovered that this sewer was very spacious. The accumulated water was deep enough for a small boat to navigate. This gave Huan Shu an outlandish plan to get rich. Since the rainwater in front of the bank could flow here through the sewer, then it must be possible to reach beneath the bank through the sewer from here. If a secret passage could be dug directly to the vault from the sewer near the bank, and then discreetly transport the cash and valuables from the vault through the sewer, wouldn't that make him rich? Upon thinking of this, Huan Shu's spirits lifted. However, such a big plan was impossible for him to execute alone, so Huan Shu thought of his good friend, Lao Hu. After hearing Huan Shu's money-making plan, Lao Hu was also inspired and immediately expressed his willingness to join. More importantly, Lao Hu was a mechanical engineer. He could personally build the machinery to dig the secret passage, but the current problem was that the cost of manufacturing the excavation machine was quite high. Both Huan Shu and Lao Hu were struggling financially. The two had to find an angel investor to fund the construction of the machine. To this end, Lao Hu introduced a partner to Huan Shu, a man named Dao Ye. He was a famous master thief in the underworld, having accumulated considerable wealth over the years through his exceptional stealing skills. Under Huan Shu's and Lao Hu's persuasion, Dao Ye not only gladly agreed to join, but also brought his 3 trusted aides as helpers. Thus, a 6-person theft gang was officially established. The first step of the theft plan was to create excavation tools and draw up the bank's floor plan. The former could be handled by Lao Hu alone, while the latter was personally managed by Huan Shu, an artist. Subsequently, Huan Shu brought a camera directly to the bank, intending to secretly take photos of the bank's interior and then draw the floor plan based on these photos. However, just as Huan Shu was stealthily taking photos, the bank's security noticed his suspicious behavior and forcibly took him to the security room in the bank's basement. Fortunately, during the transfer to the security room, the gang member GG had already swapped the memory card in Huan Shu's camera, thereby avoiding trouble. Upon leaving the security room, Huan Shu took the opportunity to quietly observe the layout of the bank's basement and confirmed that the vault was located not far from the security room. After leaving the bank, Huan Shu quickly drew up the bank's internal floor plan using the photos and his memory. The next task was to determine how to excavate the secret passage leading to the vault. To accurately determine orientation and distance, Huan Shu used a tape measure to find the sewer's water surface was 18 meters from the manhole cover. Then, one member of the theft gang was instructed to push a bicycle marked on the front wheel. He would walk from the manhole to the bank entrance, and by counting the bicycle tire's circumference and rotations, they could determine the horizontal distance from the sewer manhole cover to the bank's vault as approximately 7.1 meters. Finally, applied the Pythagorean theorem. From the sewer beneath the manhole cover, he tunneled at 21 degrees toward the bank, excavating a secret passage of 1935 meters. Can successfully reach a storage room next to the bank's vault. The reason for not tunneling directly into the vault is because the vault's walls and floor, constructed with extremely hard materials, they are very difficult to penetrate after determining secret passage direction and length. Old Hu's excavating machinery was also completed, but the theft gang immediately faced another. According to information obtained by Daoi, the target bank's vault stores only private assets. Inside, there are over 3,000 individual safety deposit boxes, and the theft gang is completely unaware of which boxes are vacant. That is to say, they can only target. Like opening a mystery box, you have to pry open each safe deposit box to confirm whether valuables are inside. The problem is, if you pry the lock in the traditional way, it takes at least 1 or 2 minutes to open a safe deposit box. Even if all 6 members of the group tirelessly picked locks, trying to open over 3,000 safe deposit boxes would require more than 9 hours. This obviously entails huge risks, not to mention that lockpicking is physically demanding. After working continuously for 9 hours, it's hard to say if the six have the strength to handle the financial matters or the bank. To shorten the operation time, they took the initiative to They bring valuables to the bank and rent safe deposit boxes. While storing their items, Dao carefully observed the vault structure. Afterwards, mechanical engineer Old Hu, based on Dao Ye's description, crafted a simple lock-picking tool that only takes a brief 7 seconds. This device can crack open the safe deposit box vault. They don't know why Old Hu's skills are so strong, yet he's ended up struggling to get by. With the problem solved, the work of digging the secret passage officially began. Since the sewer has been unused for years, the excavation work went smoothly at the start. Unexpectedly, halfway through digging, Dao Ye thought of a new problem. It turns out when he was going to the bank to store his valuables, a staff member casually mentioned that this bank had just installed the latest security system, and any external force attempting to force entry into the bank's interior would trigger the alarm system. After the thieving gang dug beneath the bank, to enter inside they would need to break through walls or floors, which would surely trigger the alarm system. Fourth, the 6 men would likely be caught by the police before they could act. Hearing Dao Ye's words, the other 5 were completely stunned. Everyone felt uneasy inside. If they couldn't breach the bank's security system, all their prior preparations would have been in vain. What should they do? To find a solution, the 6 temporarily halted their digging. Luckily, Xuanshu quickly came up with a clever plan of making an open facade while secretly taking another path. He decided to split the 6-member theft gang into 2 groups. One group would enter the bank from the front to carry out the robbery, while the other group would sneak into the vault through a secret passage to perform the theft. The robbery group was mainly responsible for drawing the police's attention. After the theft group finished their work, all 6 would together escape through the secret passage. Xuanshu's idea obviously sounded risky. But now most of the preparations were in place, and driven by their desire for wealth, the others had no choice but to agree to take the risk. After that, they developed a more thorough plan and completed the secret passage. Dao Ye led 3 trusted henchmen, wearing masks and armed with fake guns, to enter through the main entrance. They quickly took over the bank's main hall, seizing more than 20 hostages, including customers and staff. Then they sabotaged the bank's surveillance system, locking all entrances and exits. However, at that moment, a bank security guard took the opportunity while Dao Ye and his group were distracted and secretly triggered the alarm. Naturally, all of this was part of Huanshu and Dao Ye's plan. Meanwhile, Huanshu and Lao Hu arrived below the bank from the hidden passage with their equipment. Under the cover of the alarm, the 2 quickly chiseled through the wall of the storage room and entered the bank's interior. Since it was working hours and the bank wanted to facilitate customers renting safety deposit boxes, they didn't lock the vault's main door. As a result, Uncle Huan and Lao Hu easily entered the vault. Then the 2 used the lock-opening tools made by Lao Hu to open each safety deposit box in the vault like opening blind boxes, while Dao Ye and the other 3 upstairs also pretended to start looting the bank's counter. Before long, the police arrived and surrounded the bank, cutting off all access. However, Dao Ye had prepared for this. He first drove out the only armed security guard from the bank to prevent complications, and to have this guard relay a message to the police. If the police tried to forcefully storm the bank, the master would kill the more than 20 hostages inside in advance. After hearing the message from the armed guard, the police indeed dared not act rashly. The police chief in charge on the scene tried to negotiate with Dao Ye, but Dao Ye either showed disdain with sly eyes or was indifferent. The police spoke on the phone with him for a long time, without making any substantial progress. It was obvious that Dao Ye was deliberately delaying time with the police to give Uncle Huan and Lao Hu enough time. To open all the safety deposit boxes, he had studied negotiation techniques and enrolled in a rapid acting class to practice his acting skills beforehand. The sheriff, completely clueless, was baffled by Dao Ye and could never find a solution. To prevent the police from losing patience, Dao Ye released a hostage every 2 or 3 hours. One of the hostages was an elderly lady. Today happened to be her birthday, and before releasing her, Dao Ye also specifically retrieved a chocolate pastry and a match from another hostage's pocket and directed his accomplices to set up a simple birthday party for the elderly lady. This deeply moved the elderly lady. After leaving the bank, she kept emphasizing to the police that all the criminals inside were good people. The police officers violating bank rules were puzzled by Dao Ye's successive operations. Just as the police and Dao Ye and others were stuck in a stalemate, Huanshu and Lao Hu inside the vault had skillfully opened all the safes and loaded most of the valuables into the burlap sacks they had brought in advance. Finally, they threw the sacks into the secret passage. This passage was purposely designed with a slanted angle to drop the horse hooves into it. All slid down the slope into a kayak. After transferring the finances, Huanshu and Lao Hu contacted Dao Ye and other associates upstairs. The 6 then met in the bank's basement and immediately escaped through a secret passage. Before leaving, Dao Ye threw several fake toy guns at the vault door. It's unclear how much time passed. The hostages in the bank lobby, seeing that the robbers had left and didn't reappear for a long time, mustered their courage to open the main door and began to flee outside. The sheriff, foolishly waiting outside the bank, then realized something was wrong and quickly led his team to rush into the bank, only to find that the robbers had long since vanished. The police quickly found the secret passage dug by Huan Shu and others, but a hand grenade was tied at the entrance, so no one dared to act rashly. They hesitated for an unknown time until finally an officer noticed. The hand grenade and the guns at the vault door were all fake, and there was also a note posted at the new vault door with the following words: "In the illusion of the rich, there are no knives or guns, no resentment, no true feelings, only money." Realizing he had been fooled, the sheriff yanked off the fake grenade. He dispatched people to intercept robbers at the sewer entrance while Huan Shu and his team had anticipated the police's move. Therefore, they did not evacuate from the sewer entrance but instead drove the kayak upstream and eventually climbed to the surface through a manhole. At that moment, a bus they had prepared in advance was parked on the ground. A hole was cut into the bottom of the bus, and under the cover of the vehicle's body, the 6 members began loading the stolen goods. Bags were carried into the car through the opening, and then the car sped away as the police, with furrowed brows, searched everywhere for the robbers' whereabouts. Xuan Shu and the other 5 had divided stolen goods worth $25 million and lived a lavish, indulgent life of unrestrained extravagance. However, a few weeks later, a member of the theft group was caught red-handed by his wife for committing adultery. In a rage, Chiti went to the police station and exposed her husband's theft crimes. Before long, the police followed the clues and arrested Huan Shu and the other 5. However, the story did not end there. Huan Shu had already anticipated being caught before the theft plan was carried out. He had long anticipated the day he would be caught, so during the crime, he deliberately chose to steal from the personal finances in the safe. These assets were mostly ill-gotten funds of unknown origin. Therefore, the owners did not dare to take legal action after the theft. As a result, the police never figured out how much property Huan Shu and his group had actually stolen, even in the end. The police estimated the theft amount at $1.17 million. Xuan Shu and his group used fake guns and caused no casualties, so the judge gave the 6 defendants a light sentence. They did not cause any casualties, so the judge ultimately gave the 6 a light sentence. After only a year, all 6 were released from prison and regained their freedom. As previously mentioned, several actions are adaptations of real cases. After serving their sentences, the 6-member theft group in the county were all released except one, who died in a car accident. The other 5 have all lived a bittersweet life as unseen millionaires. The most outrageous is the mastermind of this case. He even became a screenwriter and turned his and his partner's experiences into a film titled Their Way into Action. Indeed, one of the film's screenwriters is the former leader of the thieves. Thinking about it, it's quite legendary and amusing. Alright, that's it for today. Friends who enjoy suspense and crime dramas, don't forget to like and follow. See you in the next episode.